Robert Carl Sticht. Robert Carl Sticht, 8 October 1856, 30 April 1922, was an American metallurgist and copper mine manager, active in Colorado and Montana, USA, and in Tasmania, Australia. Sticht was the developer of the first successful purely pyritic smelting in the world. He was also an important book and art collector, a large part of whose collections were acquired by the Public Library of Victoria and the National Gallery of Victoria in the 1920s. Early life. Sticht was born at Hoboken, New Jersey, USA, the son of German-American parents from Brooklyn. His father's name was John C. Sticht. Sticht studied at the Brooklyn Polytechnic Institute and graduated from there with BSc in 1875, then studied metallurgy at the Clausthal Royal Mining Academy, Germany, where he graduated with honors in 1880. Career. Returning to the U.S., Sticht was appointed chief chemist and assistant metallurgist at a Colorado smelting company and erected smelters in Colorado and Montana. In 1893, on the recommendation of the American mining expert Edward Dyer Peters, Sticht was appointed chief metallurgist to the Mount Lyell Mining and Railway Company, Limited in Tasmania. Sticht married Marion Oakney Stage of Illinois in January 1895. The newly married couple arrived in Queenstown, Tasmania around July 1895. Sticht persuaded the company to use pyritic smelting, designed and supervised the erection of the reduction works plant, and in 1897 was appointed general manager of the company. His successful dealing with pyritic ores marked him out as a great metallurgist. Other difficult problems arose, but each was successfully dealt with as it came, and his ability in selecting suitable assistants and heads of departments was a great factor in the continued success of the company. Although a technical success, pyritic smelting had a horrendous cost to the environment in the destruction of a vast area of rainforest and in pollution of rivers. Sticht's time at Mount Lyell was marked by a disastrous underground fire at the North Mine on 12 October 1912, when some 42 miners died from carbon monoxide poisoning. Sticht had a holiday tour in the United States in 1914-15. In 1917, he was again in Tasmania investigating problems in connection with the Mount Read and Rosebery ores. He died at Launceston, Tasmania on 30 April 1922, and was succeeded by Russell Mervyn Murray, an employee for whom he had little regard, but who managed the mines successfully for a similar length of time. Sticht was survived by his wife and 3 sons. Memberships. Australasian Institute of Mining Engineers, President 1905, 1915, Vice President 1909. Australasian Association for the Advancement of Science, President, Section C, Chemistry, Metallurgy, and Mineralogy, 1907. Legacy. Sticht was a cultivated man, interested in music, art, and literature. As Heather Lowe wrote in the Art Journal, Sticht's collecting activities were far broader than has been recognized. In the first decade of this century, he was to gather in his home on the remote west coast of Tasmania important collections, not only of oil paintings, works on paper, incunabula, and antiquarian books, book bindings, title pages, inscribed fly leaves, and within the history of art collecting in Australia, the Sticht collection is unusual and fascinating, and deserves close attention for a variety of reasons, including the geographical isolation in which it was formed, and the wide-reaching intellectual inquisitiveness that structured its formation. In 1923, following Sticht's death, the Melbourne bookseller Albert Henry Spencer of the Hill of Content bookshop, Spencer later described it as the finest library yet sold in Australia, and noted that it was rich in general literature, as well in Australiana, beginning with manuscripts written before the invention of printing, going on to many items of incunabula, then on to great books through the centuries. Among the buyers was the Public Library of Victoria, which These included a number of early Bibles, Euclid's Element of 1482, one of only 3 complete copies in the world, the Hendricks collection of fly-leaves and title pages, numbering over 3,000 pieces, 137 volumes of the works of Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, the 22 volumes of Georg Caspar Nagler's Neue Allgemeines Kunstler, some months earlier Public Library of Victoria, and the National Gallery of Victoria had used funds from the Felton bequest to purchase direct from the Sticht estate his large collection of old master prints and drawings, and a collection of early typography and books of extraordinary value, items which are now divided between the National Gallery of Victoria and the State Library. Sticht showed his interest in the welfare of the employees of the Mount Lyell mine by the establishment of betterment facilities near the mine, and took a leading part in the opening of the technical school in Queenstown. Sticht's kindliness was extended to his employees, to prospectors, and all interested in the mining industry. He was devoted to his work, and the mine owed its success to his administrative powers, his resourcefulness, and his great knowledge. Sticht's reputation became worldwide, and the long chapter of 125 pages in the 1907 edition of the Principles of Copper Smelting, by Edward Dyer Peters, owed so much to him that the author stated that to save constant quotation marks and references, I believe that it will be more just to ascribe this chapter in the main to Mr. Sticht. The mineral stitchtite is named for him.